Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Oz with Oz Mechanics, and on today's video we have this 2003 Ford Mustang GT, and we have the money light on there. Customer took it to go check it out. They got a cam sensor code on there. He was about to change out the cam sensor, but he brought it over here for me to check it out. So let's try to figure it out and fix up this vehicle. Okay, so right now what we want to do, I just want to start off and check out the code. So I'm going to be using my Auto 908, and let's retrieve these codes. So like I said, basically we got these checked out, and they told me that it was a cam sensor code. So I'm just going to verify that we only have that code. So let's see, we got, our code is P0340, the cam position sensor circuit fault. So just getting this code right here, what I want to do is let's get our scope and let's check out the wave signal. And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be a 2-wire, so we're going to look for an analog signal. So let's go to the front of the vehicle and let's scope it out and let's see how our signal looks. Alright, so we're underneath the engine compartment, and what I'm trying to look for is a cam sensor. And normally speaking, these cam sensors are going to be in the front of the engine. So if we get here a little bit closer, as we can see, we don't have anything down here. But if we look right behind this reservoir, power steering reservoir, we can see that we have a cam sensor just right there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to loosen up this so I can stick my test leads right behind there and we can start testing it out. Alright, so we took off our reservoir and I kind of snugged it down in the bottom. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to zoom in where the cam sensor is at. So as you can see right there is a 2-wire sensor. So what we're going to do to test this out, I'm actually going to hook my test leads onto there, both of them. And we're just going to hook this up. And then we're going to just look for our analog signal. So I do have my Varus hooked up right here. And let me boot it up. Once we start booting it up, we're going to turn on the vehicle and we're going to see what kind of analog signal we have. Alright, so we're going to go to lab scope, volts DC. Alright, and I do want to set this up at least, let's do 10 volts just to be on the safe side. And let's see what we get. I'm going to have it right there. So let's crank up the car and let's see if we get a signal. And remember, on this one, we did test on the last video. It was a Hall effect, and that was a digital signal. I believe it was 0 to 12 volts. This is going to be a 2-wire, so it's going to be an analog. So we're not going to see that digital signal that we saw before. We do have a signal right there, and it looks pretty good. The only thing I don't like is a little hash between the signals. And they kind of look like little ripples, but let's see. That's 500 milliseconds. It looks pretty good. Let's get a known good and let's see how that looks like. Hopefully it can give us a direction. But what I don't like right now is these little ripples right here, and for some weird reason this alternator is really whining right now. Alright, I do want to emphasize a little bit on this. So the little hash that I was talking about, So this is the analog raise and fall right here that we're looking at, and that's coming out from the cam sensor. But look what we have right in between, all that noise and hash. I don't like that right there at all. And from experience, you could expect a bad diode coming out from the alternator. But like I said, I still want to look at a good wave signal, see if it even has that hash or not, and then we can start just looking at different stuff. So just wanted to bring that up right here, so we'll see what happens. Alright, so I did some little investigation on IATN, and I was trying to look for a waveform and I could not find one. So I went ahead and got onto the fixed database, and what I did find, as we can see right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reported issues on this vehicle with the same P0340 code. 2 people couldn't fix them up, 5 did. And the crazy thing about this, 4 of the 5 had the issue with an alternator that was causing this code to pop up. So like I said, I had my suspicions about this, seeing the little imbalance right there on the signal wire. So what we're gonna do right now, like on my last video where I did the alternator testing on the ripple side, we're gonna do a testing on the alternator again, and we're gonna check this out. We're gonna verify. So we're gonna go to my Verus on the scope. We're gonna hook it up and see if we have any ripples on the alternator. And if they are, we're gonna call this, and we're gonna do one extra little step. I'm actually gonna go ahead, test out the AC signal, and then disconnect the actual connector to the back of the alternator and see if it cleans up. If it does, then we're gonna call it and change out the alternator. So let's get right to it. All right, so I got my lab scope right here, about to hook everything up. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have our negative and positive. So what I'm gonna do, negative, I'm just gonna hook up to battery negative, and then positive, I'm gonna hook up to B plus on the alternator. So let me just make sure that this is not in your way. The B plus is gonna be just right up here, nice and convenient. And we're gonna go ahead and hook that up. Now we just gotta change up our scales because we're gonna be looking for AC signal right here. Let me try to get this so it can be nice and good. All right, so let's set this up. And our ripples, if we're gonna be looking for that, they're gonna be low voltage. So I do wanna set this up to at least, say 2 volts. I think that should, or 1 volt would be okay. And I'm gonna do AC coupling. Alright, so with that, we're basically taking off the top, and we're just we're taking off the bottom part, and we're just looking at the top part of the AC coupling. So let's start up this vehicle and let's see if we have any excessive AC. Alright, so right now, as you can see, it's really hashy. I don't like how that looks. You can actually hear the alternator whining. Let me see if I can get close. There's the whine. I'm gonna drop this down to at least, let's say 5 milliseconds. To 20. 20 looks better. All right, and let's do 2 volts. I don't know if you can see that, but I can see that clear as day. These ripples are way too high, so that's excessive AC coming out from the alternator. So AC ripples coming out from the alternator. What I do want to see is little small bumps. This has pretty much, it just has a bad diode in there, and I guarantee you that's what's causing the issue. So what I want to do right now, I'm actually going to go back to the cam sensor, and I'm going to disconnect the cable that feeds the battery, not the B plus, but I'm gonna disconnect the other one that feeds the alternator, and we're gonna see if it drops down, if those signals actually dissipate. So let me hook that back up and let's check it out. All right, when I was hooking up to my actual cam sensor, this is just gonna be complete definitive for sure that we're gonna change out the alternator right here. So I didn't change up my settings. I just went ahead and went straight to the cam sensor. Look what we see. These are the ripples coming out from the alternator. And I'm just gonna move it out a little bit more. So as you can see right now, I have my wires hooked up to the cam sensor. Let me just zoom you in just a tiny bit. And what I'm gonna do, check this out. I'm gonna go to 10 volts. And then let's move this to 200 milliseconds. There we go again. So those little tiny ripples right there, that's the excessive AC coming out from the alternator. So what I'm going to do, one last thing, is just disconnect that, and we should see that actually dissipate. All right, so I'm just going to disconnect. All right, as you can see right now, look how clean the cam looks. And if you want to, we can just go a little bit further down, go 2 volts. Twenty milliseconds. There you go. So this right here is going to be needing a brand new alternator. So like I said, don't ever just jump the gun, change out the cam sensor. Right here, luckily we didn't go ahead and change out the cam sensor. We did our research. We were looking for a known good. We couldn't find a known good, so we took advantage of IATN. And luckily they had some other techs on there that had this same issue, and they just started changing out everything, and it ended up being the alternator. So just a little live lesson right there. Just don't be a parts changer. Don't just go out and shoot the parts cannon. So if you do like this video, please thumbs up where it is at, thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to hit that little notification bell to get all the brand new videos coming out from Oz Mechanics. Y'all have a nice day.